Well, another source of conflict, actually.
How so?
For Koen, coming from his were background,
Okay, let's really get into this. Think about this. What actually happens when someone's identity, specifically an identity that mixes two species that were always separate?
Right.
What happens when that identity becomes less a personal fact and more like a geopolitical weapon? In a fictional setting, of course.
That's a fantastic question, and it sets up the incredibly dense, high-stakes world we're diving into today based on these sources.
So what's our mission here?
Our goal is really to unpack excerpts from this paranormal romance novel, mate.
Yeah.
We want to pull out the political machinery, the character relationships, and the big conflicts that make this whole world feel like it could just ignite.
And it's crucial to remember the context, like you said, dense. The sources are clear. This isn't starting from scratch. It's a companion to Bride.
Exactly. We're jumping onto a moving train here. This universe is already established.
So the basic setup is humans, weres, and vampires are coexisting. But it sounds fragile. Maybe some kind of truce. An accord built on keeping everyone separate.
That's the core of it. Fragile is the right word. It's all based on these really clear boundaries, genetic, territorial.
So not open war, but maybe like a Cold War.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Peace maintained because everyone knows messing up the balance is too risky, especially between the weres and the vampires. That's the baseline tension. And then Serena Paris arrives.
Ah, Serena Paris.
Yeah.
Protagonist. And she's the one who shatters that fragile structure you mentioned.
Completely. She's the catalyst, the key thing, the politically explosive fact about her. She's the very first documented human-were hybrid.
Wow.
Plus, she's an orphan, packless. Her existence itself basically violates every rule they live by.
So what's the immediate fallout? I mean, does she know how dangerous her biology is?
Well, the sources suggest she steps forward, hoping maybe, just maybe, being a hybrid could be a good thing, like a bridge between species.
A symbol of unity, perhaps?
Yeah, something like that. But nope, the second she's known, she becomes, the most dangerous kind of political currency imaginable.
Dangerous how? Because she proves the rules can be broken.
Exactly that. And the reaction isn't just, oh, that's unusual. It's immediate, targeted hostility from multiple sides.
Okay, break that down. Who are the main threats detailed in the sources?
All right, so first, the established were packs. For them, she's a threat to, bloodline purity. And definitely a challenge to their leader's authority.
Okay, that makes sense. Internal politics.
Then you've got the vampires. For them, she's pure leverage. Living proof the weres aren't immutable, maybe they can be infiltrated, or worse for the vamps, maybe weres could evolve.
So the vampires either want to use her or get rid of her.
Desperately. Either option works for them as long as she doesn't just exist freely.
And you mentioned she's packless. In a world seemingly built on pack structures, what does that actually mean for her day-to-day survival?
It's huge. Being packless means she has zero official protection, no legal standing really, no access to resources, no one to back her up.
So totally vulnerable.
Completely. Think about it, an alpha controls the law and the military for their area. Serena, she's outside all of that. Anyone can target her without consequence because who's going to retaliate?
No one. Her isolation is her weakness.
It is, which directly leads her to seek out the only power structure that might possibly be strong enough to offer any kind of shield.
And that brings us to Koen Alexander.
Right, the male lead.
He's the alpha of the Northwest Pack. When Serena's basically out of options, she goes to him. What does that title, Alpha of the Northwest, signify? How big a deal is he?
Oh, he's a very big deal. Think top dog, geographically and politically. The Northwest Pack, according to these sources, is often shown as the dominant force among the weres, maybe bordering key territories.
So his power isn't just symbolic.
Not at all. It's absolute within his pack. He controls the land, the resources, commands the loyalty of, thousands of weres. He's the power in that region.
Okay, so he's this major player, and he decides to take in Serena Paris, literally the most politically radioactive person around. How does that even work? How does that impact his own authority? His pack can't all be okay with this.
Definitely not. And that's where you see the world building get really interesting. Taking her in immediately puts his leadership to the test. His beta, his gamma, his seconds in command, they're going to have opinions.
So, dissent in the ranks.
For sure. Some might see it as incredibly reckless. Why risk the whole pack for this one anomaly if he loses the support of his key people?
What happens then? A challenge.
It could easily lead to a challenge. We're talking ritual combat, possibly death, or at the very least, the Northwest Pack fracturing completely. Huge destabilization.
Wow, so he's literally putting his life, his entire pack's stability on the line just by giving her sanctuary.
That's the weight of his decision.
Which means the romance element. It doesn't start with like love at first sight. It starts with sheer political necessity, desperation.
Exactly. Survival is the bedrock of their connection. He seems determined to protect her, maybe seeing her survival as the only way to stave off a bigger war, even if her very being contradicts the purity his pack values.
Okay, so the stakes are incredibly high, externally rival, Wares, Vampyres, political factions. But how does all that chaos outside shape what's going on between Koen and Serena, especially with the whole mate bond thing that often comes up in this genre?
Right, the mate bond. Here, it's less a convenient happily ever after device and more, well, another source of conflict, actually.
How so?
For Koen, coming from his were background, the bond is probably seen as this biological imperative. It's known, it's accepted within his culture. But for Serena...
She's spent her whole life outside the rules, surviving alone.
Exactly. So the idea of some predetermined bond or destiny telling her who she belongs with, that sounds terrifying to her. It's another loss of control.
She has absolutely no reason to trust biology or fate, given her life experiences.
None whatsoever. And that's central to her struggle theme-wise. She desperately wants belonging, a place, a community, you know. But she's built these massive walls of distrust just to survive.
Understandable walls.
Totally. And the mate bond basically asks her to lower those walls and surrender some autonomy to this powerful figure, the alpha, and this pack structure. A structure she doesn't belong to and probably has good reason to fear.
So any emotional distance between them isn't just for drama, it's her survival instinct kicking in.
Precisely. The relationship, it seems, develops not by instantly accepting the bond, but through the slow, painful process of possibly tearing down those walls she needed for self-preservation.
Which ties into the themes of power and loyalty you mentioned. This world demands submission to the alpha. How does someone like Serena, fighting just for her right to be, navigate a relationship that inherently involves that kind of power dynamic?
That's the core question, isn't it? What does loyalty mean when one person holds basically all the power, especially the power to protect or abandon? Can trust form under those conditions?
And the sources hint there's even more complexity. Something about Serena's past. As if the external threats weren't enough.
Yeah, there's this undercurrent that her personal history, her origins, might hold some secrets. Revelations that could unleash something internal.
Internal danger, what kind?
It's hinted that maybe her parentage isn't just human and were, full stop, but that the circumstances of her birth or who her parents were might connect to, I don't know, ancient conflicts, maybe some kind of untapped power.
So discovering her past could either stabilize things or make everything infinitely worse.
Potentially. If she unlocks something buried within her, it could make her a target for entirely new reasons, maybe even beyond just being a hybrid. It adds this layer of like a ticking clock to her personal story.
Okay, so if we pull all these threads together, you've got the rigid political structure, the Wares versus Vampyres, Koen's demanding role as alpha, and Serena's unique, targeted existence. The main tension is crystal clear. The system itself is the antagonist.
That's the real takeaway, I think, that knowledge nugget for you listening. The political intrigue, the hierarchy, the species power balance, that's what's actually driving the danger in the plot. It's not just wallpaper.
It really shapes their choices.
It forces Koen to risk literally everything he has, and it forces Serena to confront the possibility of trust, of belonging, maybe for the first time ever. Their romance isn't separate from the politics, it's born from it. It's their attempt to find stability in a world designed to tear them apart.
So let's recap that for you. This story is fundamentally defined by Serena Paris, the first human-were hybrid, an anomaly that threatens the status quo. And it's about the absolutely critical, high-stakes alliance she has to forge with Koen Alexander, this incredibly powerful alpha, just to survive the political storm her birth unleashed.
Their relationship isn't just a subplot, it's their main weapon against the forces trying to erase her.
Right. It's their act of defiance. Which leaves us with a final thought, something for you to chew on. In this world of strict rules, old treaties, powerful alphas, and ancient species, what's actually the bigger threat to the established order?
Is it the external enemies? The aggressive vampires plotting, the rival wares trying to take Koen out?
Or is it the internal challenge, the sheer revolutionary existence of one person, Serena, whose identity fundamentally questions the laws of nature and power that everyone else accepts?
Yeah, think about that. How does identity itself, especially when it deviates, become a force that can crack the foundations of any complex system? It's something to consider how identity and power are always intertwined.
Grab Mate by Ali Hazelwood now, on sale $14.95. Don't miss this chance and build good habits and achieve remarkable results. Buy now today.
Like and subscribe for more Bookhaven podcasts.